Welcome to season 6 of The Breakthrough Show, Breakthroughs Around the World, conversations with 40 guests from 40 different countries, acknowledging our similarities, honoring our differences, and celebrating our connection. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas, the creator of the Breakthrough Show Network. And for season 6, episode 2 today, I am so proud to welcome back another previous guest on the show. He is a songwriting extraordinaire who for years has been a composer, music supervisor on several theater productions, as well as performing and directing. He has also recorded and released his own music through his label, One Bad Day. And he has been one of our most fabulous guests on the Breakthrough Show, of course, as well as Project Joy Live. And we are thrilled to have him back today. So, welcoming him back to represent Iceland, please welcome back to the show, Eyvindur Karlsson.
Hey,
Welcome
thank you
back.
so much. Yeah, thank you for that lovely introduction. I'll pay you later.
Thank you. The check is in the mail.
Yes, the check is in the proverbial mail. Yes.
Yes. Well, I would love to start out because the name of the game this season is Breakthroughs Around the World. And I would love for you to share what makes Iceland special to you.
Yes, besides having been born here.
Yeah.
And,
That's what makes it a special place. That in
that
itself.
that does make it special. Yes. I think in a lot of it's kind of expected to talk about nature and stuff like that when Iceland is concerned, and that's cool. The weather isn't. The weather is horrible, but I think there are the two main things that make Iceland special to me. As first of all, the people. Icelanders, we have our differences, and there are a lot of there are arguments and things as you have everywhere. But I think we stick together. I think we're an island. There's only 350,000 of us. We're stuck with the same crappy weather, and so we just through the whole COVID thing, people have been very patient, I think. By and large, of course, there are exceptions. But so I think that's, because we sort of realize, okay, the only way to get through this if we all band together and we just do this. And that's really helped, I think. And the other thing is the art scene, the theater, arts, music, all of that, I think is very special. There's something unique to me. Because I studied theater directing in London, so I had an insight into the arts scene there, and I've traveled and played music and performed theater in other countries, and to me there's something special here. I don't know what it is. In a way, maybe it's that there are few people here, so if you're an artist, you kind of have to be a multidisciplinary. I don't know what the word is. You need to wear many hats is
Right.
what I'm trying to say. And so if you are involved in filmmaking, then you're not just a gaffer. You do lights, you do camera work, you carry stuff around, you're an extra in a scene. You have to do a lot of different things. And so I think that's a part of it. But yeah, there's something special about that, I think.
Maybe I'm in the wrong place because I am a very multifaceted person. I'm always talking about that too. That seems to be the topic of I feel like here we're not often encouraged to embrace our very multifaceted nature as humans or be multi-passionate or anything like that. Do you feel like that's something that was encouraged with you from the time that you were younger to just allow yourself to be all the things if you wanted?
Well,
Maybe not.
my parents, no, definitely. I just don't think I had the best role models. In terms of being sensible and picking a career. Because my parents are artists and they just do lots of different things. Um, so I was definitely encouraged to just follow what I wanted to do, and that's why I still haven't decided what I want to be when I grow up.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I think I don't know. There's always. I mean, there. First of all, in schools, there's so much emphasis on arts and on
Mm.
theater, and there's music, and there's art, and what have you, and sports, of course, as well. Whereas I have a feeling in I don't know what it's like everywhere, but in many places, it's like okay, so you find something that you're good at, and then you stick to that.
Hmm.
But here, it's very yes, you do choir and you do football and you do the trumpet and you paint and you just do all of it and enjoy yourself.
Mm.
So I don't know. Maybe that's not that special. I have no idea. But that to me feels like it's yes, just spread your wings, do everything, and enjoy.
Yeah, it is really special, and especially if that's the way it continues to be now. Because I feel like when I was younger, especially in grade school, we were really encouraged to try different things and do choir, do sports, do the wide range of different activities. And then as you get older, you're kind of encouraged to like, okay, now it's time to settle down a little bit, choose something, and do that. But then now, and one of the reasons that we homeschool is because most of the school systems have just done away with any kind of budget for the arts. And you do still
Mhm.
have choir and things like that, but it's very different now. It's not like what it used to be at all. And so I feel like at home, I have the opportunity to say, hey, if you want to play 4 different instruments, go ahead. There's here,
Yeah.
I'll get some for you, and you just
Yeah.
go sit
Yeah.
down and learn it, it's kind of thing. And so that it does seem really special to me. I know you've had
Mhm.
the opportunity to travel and stuff in to different places, as you mentioned. Do you feel like your songwriting um, would be different if you didn't grow up most of your life in Iceland?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Totally. There's no question in my mind. While my music is not particularly Icelandic or Nordic or whatever,
Mm.
I think that growing up here, I was exposed to a lot of different things, and the songs that we grow up singing are of a certain kind. There are Icelandic folk songs, of course, and then there's a lot of Irish influence, and so yes, definitely, the the lullabies and the children's songs here are pretty grim, and it's they're it's like country songs. It's
Mm.
like there's a raven at the window and the child is dying and everybody's freezing to death.
And when you
That's
play
sort of
it, like with country music, do you play it back and you get your childhood back? Because that's with country music, you
yeah.
play country music backwards, you get your wife back, your dog back, your job back, all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think if you play Icelandic folk songs backwards, you summon
You summon something.
dwarves or I don't know. That's when the elves come out and they shut it off and say,
One of those
"Stop
one of those
messing with it."
Santas. One of those
Yeah, one
Santas
of
come
those
out.
Santas, yeah,
Listen.
exactly. The Yule lads, yes,
Yes.
they'll come out and stop you from ruining a good song.
We're all still having nightmares about that, by the way. You guys should go check out one of the December episodes of Project Joy Live and hear about all the Icelandic Yule lads.
Yes.
Oh, I love it. Well, what has been, would you say, your biggest breakthrough as far as, whether it's your time in Iceland or songwriting, or what would you say that is?
Well, in terms of songwriting, my one of the things I've been doing a lot for the past years, past many years, is writing music for theater.
Mm.
And I actually got my first music supervisor post. That was not a professional show, but the first show I was a music supervisor for. That was 20 years ago. These days, it's like this spring. It's 20 years.
Mm.
But I remember, and that was fine. But then years later, when I was asked to write music for a whole production professionally, actually getting paid to do it, I was ecstatic for about a day, and then reality kicked in, and it was like, oh my God, I actually need to write all this stuff on a deadline, and I have to like be able to turn on inspiration and creativity. And how does that work? And so it became very quickly a source of anxiety. I was like, but this isn't supposed to happen. I'm supposed to enjoy writing songs, not sit around being overwhelmed and feeling bad, staring at a blank page. And it, fortunately, at that time, I had been doing a lot of reading about business and marketing and project management and time management for entrepreneurs and stuff like that. And so I sat down and said, okay, I need a system here. And I need to just make sure that I can actually do this on demand or I'm going to die. And so that's what I did. I like had this aha moment where I was like, okay, I can take all of these principles that I've read about that concern, business things and stuff like that, and I can apply them to my art, and I can just, adapt them and create something that works to create songs. And so that's what I did. And since then, of course, I've added to my toolbox and all of that. But I decided that what, inspiration is it's a myth. It's there are ways to actually work proactively and be productive and have practical things to do rather than just sitting around staring at the ceiling until something happens. And so that was a big aha moment for me, and that's really, I don't think I could do this for a living.
Yeah.
If I hadn't done that, because it would be too stressful.
Well, there's a couple things. Like first, what you're talking about, sort of waiting to be inspired. We talk about that so often on the Breakthrough Show about breakthroughs, and then on Project Joy, where joy is concerned. So many people are just waiting for the breakthroughs to happen or waiting for the joy to happen. And one of the things that I've said is I'm going to be intentional about looking for the joy. And if it's not coming to me, I'm going to look harder. And then if I don't see it, I'm going to create it because if I want it that bad, if I want to live with joy, if I want to experience joy, I need to be proactive in doing it. And the same goes for breakthroughs, and the same goes with inspiration where songwriting is concerned. I think there's just this misconception that these ideas always just appear, like, right, they just magically float down from one of the Yule lads,
Yeah, I was so inspired. I read years and years ago. I read an interview with Jerry Seinfeld where he was talking about how when he was first starting to do comedy professionally, he would just wait around until the ideas for jokes hit him, and then he would write them down. And then one day he was sitting in a coffee shop and he was looking across the street at a construction site, and these construction workers were doing their thing, and he said, I need to do that. I need to show up to work and actually do the work every day. And so from that point on, he would just show up and he would work for a certain number of hours every day. And I thought, and that's what you have to do if you are serious about whatever it is, whatever your art or your business or your whatever it is that you want to do, whether it's a full-time thing or not. If you want to do it seriously and you want to make it a big part of your life, then I think you need to have that certain work ethic. And, whether it's only an hour per day or, 3-4 hours per week or whatever it is, you need to do it. And you need to, and sitting in a chair holding a guitar, it doesn't count. It's
Right.
not, you need to have a plan. So yeah, that's my
Yeah,
That's
I
my thing.
agree. It takes an amount of discipline too for those of us that
Oh, yeah.
maybe have worked, for other people before. There's somebody there telling you what to do, or this is how you do the job, or this is how you get things done. And then when you work for yourself, I know for me, I kind of had this moment of like, oh, nobody's here, so that means I can do whatever I want,
Yeah.
and it's so delicious and juicy at first, like I can do whatever I want, and then you go, shit, I'm not getting anything done.
That is true. And I think discipline is, again, it's something that is overrated. It's about creating routines and systems and
Yeah.
and of course having someone to be accountable to. That's I coach people so that so I contact them and say, hey, how, if they're not getting in touch with me, I'll go, hey, are you doing the work?
Yeah.
Is everything okay? Are you because that's something that's you need somebody to be accountable to, I think.
Right.
I mean, there are certainly people who, and I mean, I've not had that for most of my my songwriting career until I started to actually have deadlines.
Yeah.
But it definitely does help, because for instance, my first solo album, it took me 10 years to get it out.
Wow.
Because I was
That's a long time.
yes.
By the way.
But that was another facet that I had to also work on systematically. Was just having the confidence and the the sort of drive to finish it and get it out there, and that was a big struggle. That's now a big part of what I teach as well. Is how do you make sure that you're not sabotaging yourself, or that you're not getting into the perfectionist mode, which is just perfectionism is just procrastination in disguise.
Right.
So a lot of those things I really had to work on, and so now I really try to help. I think when it comes to songwriting or any kind of art, I think it's like 10% craft and 90% just staying power. It's just doing it.
Yeah.
And whether it's so funny because I've written novels, and there it's obviously a novel is a big thing, and so you sit down and you have to write preferably every day.
Yeah.
For a certain number of weeks or however long it takes you to finish the thing. And it was easy for me to forget that it's the same when it comes to songwriting. If I want to be a good songwriter, I have to write music every day. I may not write a song every day. I might sit down, okay, I'm going to write a guitar riff today, or I'm going to work on my lyrics today, or I'm going to work on an arrangement today or something. But I need to do it every day. It's like physical exercise. If you only do it, once every 2 weeks, then you're going to pull something. It's going to be painful, and you're going to end up crying. And it's going to be very hard to get started. If it's been a long time since you last sat down to work on what it is you're working on, then it's going to be very hard to get going.
Yeah.
If you take up jogging and you wait for 2 weeks, and then I'm gonna run 5K today,
Right.
even though I haven't put on my sneakers for 3 weeks. That's not good. You're gonna hurt yourself.
Right.
So I I make a lot of parallels between exercise and songwriting, because to me that,
You've
that's
lost
why
me. The show is over.
yes, I exercise a lot. No, but to me, it's about building the creative muscles.
Right.
It's a good analogy, I think. That's why I call my website Strongwriting, because it's songwriting, but it's getting
Well,
stronger. Yeah.
funny story about that. So I grabbed the link and stuff to share with the audience today. And I thought that because I just wasn't zoning in on what it said, I thought it actually said songwriting. And I'm like, how did he get, because it's hard to get URLs sometimes. And I'm going, how
Yeah.
did he get songwriting? I mean, that was quite a score. And then I went back and I'm like, that doesn't say songwriting. That says strong writing.
Yes.
I was jealous for a moment how you got such a good URL. And then I was like, oh, wait a minute.
I
But it's
wish.
so
I wish.
good. It's so
I
good.
wish.
Well, so you came up with this process of working, of songwriting and everything else, and then you packaged it all up beautifully. You became a billionaire overnight, the end, right?
Yes, that's exactly what happened.
See, I knew it.
Yeah. Now I live on a yacht in Iceland.
Gorgeous.
No, what I've been very blessed with is that I've gotten the chance to work on several award-winning theater productions where I write all the music and usually perform a lot of it or most of it as well. And I've traveled around the world with some of those shows. So I've been to theater festivals in Czech Republic and Austria and Monaco, which is a crazy place.
Wow.
So yes, so that's been great. It's been fantastic, and I've also gotten a chance to pass this on to work with other songwriters, including a guy who's a very talented songwriter, but he had those problems with just doing it, having the drive, having the confidence and the commitment and all that. And I helped him out, and I was so happy when first of all, he was just last month. There was this television broadcast celebrating Icelandic music, and one of his songs that he released last year was selected as one of the examples of the best Icelandic songwriting. And so he went on live television and performed it, and that was amazing. And then I was talking to him the other day, and he was like, "Oh, you never guess, I'm so happy that we're working together, because he is, we're working together at the moment, and I'm coaching him through some stuff. And he just got a government grant to record an album.
Wow.
And so he was like, now I have to write more songs. I need to get him on, and I'm so happy that we're working together. And that made me very happy. So I'm very blessed that I've gotten the chance to work with people like him. So it's wonderful. To me, songwriting is, it can be kind of lonely sometimes. You're sitting in your room, you're writing, and especially when you're like me, I'm in Iceland. There aren't that many live. I mean, I love performing live, but it's a pretty small market, obviously.
Yeah.
So, and I haven't toured abroad very much. A lot of Icelandic artists, that's how they support themselves. Me, I work in the theater, and then I'm just releasing my stuff online and things like that. And so it can get a little bit lonely. And to me, it's community and meeting other songwriters and hanging out is such a huge part of my life and what I'm passionate about. And there's this festival, singer-songwriter festival called the Melodica Festival that I perform in every year in Iceland. And I've also, it's an international thing, and it's a volunteer-based festival. It's wonderful. It was started in 2007 in Melbourne, Australia, and the same year in Iceland. And I've performed in Melodica Festival in Nottingham, England, and in Nashville.
Wow.
And I was
That's not
planning
far
on,
from my house, by the way.
yes, well, if, next time
Yeah.
I'll stop by.
Yes.
When COVID hit, I was planning on traveling and doing a couple more melodica festivals, but things happened.
Yeah.
But
Life
but
happened
the
the last
great
couple
thing
years.
about that is that there's a lot of songwriters, a lot of singer songwriters coming together and collaborating and doing all these things, and nobody makes any money out of it. It's nobody pays to be there. There are donations, and those donations just go into airfare for the artists. And otherwise, nobody makes any money, and everybody just hangs
Wow.
out and writes together, sings together, gets to know each other. It's like a networking thing. I now
How
know so
fun.
many songwriters from around the world, from New Zealand and Australia to France and the States and Canada and you name it. And it's just that sense of community is such a great thing. And so, so right now I'm, starting to work more with other songwriters and I have a course and I do coaching and things like that. And it's the most rewarding thing I can think of because I get to meet all these people and I get to, watch them
Right.
grow like I've grown from going through this process that we're talking about. And
Right.
so, it's wonderful.
That's amazing. Well, I'm excited that we're going to get to experience a little piece of that today. And
Yes.
so we're going to do that next. So before we jump in, I have a quick question for you. Do you think that anyone could write a song?
Yeah, absolutely.
You really
Anyone.
believe that?
Oh,
Anybody?
yeah.
Okay.
Totally. Uh, it's there's no, you don't have to, it's easier if you know music,
Mm,
the more you know about chord structures and key and music theory and that kind of stuff, the the faster the process will be,
right.
you know. But I mean, when I started writing songs, I could play guitar a little bit,
Mm,
and I was like 15 at the
yeah.
time. I was still learning how to play music. I certainly didn't know music theory at all. Um, I could barely put lyrics together, and it was a pretty painstaking process. And I think for every like 10 songs that I wrote, maybe one was I mean, I'm not going to say it was good. It's like judging baby pictures. I still remember a couple of those songs. Um, but I'd write like 9 things that weren't actually functional as songs, and then I'd have
Mm,
maybe one that sort of worked. I'm not going to say they were good, but they worked. You could actually perform them, so I didn't know what I was doing.
yeah.
And there's software out there where even if you don't have an instrument, you can put together a chord progression, listen back to it, hear how it sounds.
Hmm.
You can look up the circle of fifths. Just Google the circle of fifths, and that'll teach you the bare basics of how, which chords go best together. And then, you can try arranging some chords together, see how it sounds. If it sounds nice, then maybe you can try humming some musical ideas to it. And there you have something musical.
Yeah.
That's
Amazing.
yeah.
We want people to listen to this and leave today going, I can do this. I can
Oh
I
yeah.
can write a song.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go through and you're gonna help me come up with a title for a song. So I'm gonna let you take the lead now and
Mhm.
let's go through this.
Okay, so I think this is like a fun thing to do because you can start with anything when you're writing a song, and I think a fun place to start is to start with the title. And my whole thing is not to sit around waiting for inspiration, right? So this to me is kind of like you can start by going through a little bit of a mental exercise to come up with a title that's really intriguing or funny or, whatever the mood you're going for is. And then you're not, you have something that you're starting with now.
Right.
And so I'm going to have you go through this because as we've discussed before, I am going to help you write your first song.
Okay.
And that was my New Year's resolution, was to have you write a song. And so here we go. So we're starting right now live on the show.
Live.
So the only thing you need right now is just the theme of your song. What's the theme of your song?
It's what love feels like.
What love feels like. Okay. Can we simplify that a little bit? Can we put it into one or two words? I mean, it's really to just because we want the theme to be as broad as we can.
Feeling of love? Is that
feeling of love? Yeah, I mean,
love.
Okay, let's go with it. Love is love is extremely broad.
That's as broad as it's gonna get.
I guess okay. Let's go with that. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna think of any sayings that we can think of related to the theme. Any any cliches that we can think of. Cliches are great, by the way. Never be afraid of cliches at the sort of brain dump part of the process. Any book or movie titles, even song titles of other songs, that's fine. So we're going to dump everything we can think of related to the theme down on the page.
Okay.
So the feeling of love.
I had written a poem about this topic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm trying to... you can throw out parts of that if you like.
Well, I'm trying to pull out the cliche parts or the parts that seem to like what you're talking about. So the one thing that I repeat several times in this poem is reaching for it anyway.
Reaching for it anyway. Okay.
Right. And then I talk about it being like an heirloom blanket, torn, pungent, unmatching.
Okay, cool.
And it has a frigid warmth of the first touch. When you go to grab a blanket and it's cold, but it keeps you warm.
Yeah. These are, you've kind of already done the work here. Like what you're doing is kind of one step ahead, but that's cool.
Okay.
And there are possibly, obviously this exercise is best done when you don't have anything.
Yeah.
But this, I love this. So what you have is kind of like these, and I love this myself, these kind of ironic sides of, I don't know if ironic is the right word, but this kind of juxtaposition between, I almost want to say between pleasure and pain, or between sort of the positive and negative aspects of love,
right?
In a way. And so I kind of want to write down here like just pleasure and pain, just to get it down to sort of a little bit simpler terms. That which reminds me of a Queen song, "Pain is so close to pleasure." So what I do is I like to dump anything that I can think of down on the page, and I do this very, very quickly. And anybody who's listening or watching can follow along, by the way, for their own song. Just do this. It's really fun. So let's see. So the feeling of love, and it's this whole juxtaposition, which I don't know why, but I thought of a thorny crown just now. Because
I think of the movie The Notebook, like how for some reason that keeps popping into my head. How it's like this sweet story, but it's like horrible at the end. They die together. It's like.
Oh, well, I haven't seen it. Now I won't.
Oh, it's so good. No, you must see that movie.
Oh, okay. All right. Every rose has its thorn. That's kind of cliche that pops to mind for me. My friend had a song. My friend Svavar Knútur, he's a great Icelandic singer-songwriter. He has a song It's called Your Love Was Death to Me. That's all I wrote there. So, right now we have what? Reaching for It Anyway. It's like an heirloom blanket. It's Pleasure, Pain. Pain is so close to pleasure. Thorny Crown. I don't know why that popped into my head, like jumping right into religion. But anyway, the notebook. Every rose has its thorn, and your love was death to me. So the next step that I do is I take some of these, and the reason I like cliches is because I like to take them and then twist them around somehow. So try to find some ways, whether it's like word play or like reversing things or whatever it is, to take something that's familiar and juxtaposing it, which is kind of what you've already done with the reaching for, or like the heirloom blanket and the frigid touch and all of that. But like so one of the things, because I have every rose has its thorn and like an heirloom blanket, so reaching for a rose, reaching for a thorny rose,
reaching for a thorned blanket.
Thorned blanket, that's cool.
Thorned blanket. I don't know where that came from.
Thorned blanket. Thorned blanket sounds terrible, and yet
it does. It does sound horrible. Doesn't sound very lovely at all.
Thorned blanket could actually be a song title. That could work. Well, thorny blanket, thorned or thorny?
Thorny blanket. Thorny sounds very childlike to me. I don't know. Thorned. I don't know. I have to English that for a minute.
Yeah, thorned feels. Thorned blanket would be awkward to sing. Thorny blanket would be easier to sing, but maybe the title of the song doesn't have to be in the lyrics. So
okay.
So basically, what there are. It's so important to have a hook in your song. The hook, for anybody who doesn't know, that's like what hooks you. That's what makes the song stick in your head.
The hook brings you back, as Blues Traveler once said.
Oh yeah, there you go. And Blues Traveler knows his stuff.
I know.
So for me, because I used to do stand-up comedy and I used to write jokes, and I actually wrote a thesis on stand-up comedy when I was studying literature 200 years ago. And I dissected sort of how jokes work. And the way a joke setup works is you have a setup and then you have a punchline. And the punchline, like the setup is a familiar thing. It sets you up for certain expectations, and then the punchline twists those expectations, and that's what makes you laugh. And to me, a hook in a song is the same thing. You have certain expectations, you have a certain familiarity with something, and then it twists it around slightly. Not so much that it becomes too far removed, and because that can make you uncomfortable. But and I think if I think of a lot of the songs that I like stick in my head the most, they have something that's familiar and slightly different, and that's what makes them stick in my mind. And so that's why I like to take cliches and sayings and quotes and what have you, and turning them around a little bit to create something familiar yet unfamiliar. And so I think thorny blanket or thorned blanket, because we're familiar with thorny rose,
right?
And here we have a blanket, which is something that's supposed to keep you warm, but now it's also jabbing you with its thorns. And so to me, that's a great place to start. And I haven't read your poem. I deliberately asked you not to tell me anything about it before, so I don't know if it fits your poem or not.
Right.
But or the feeling that you're going for. I mean, I think it fits the feeling that you're going for based on the like 3 sentences you've told me so far. But I think, and also like reaching for a thorned blanket or thorny blanket, that would be a longer title, but that could also work.
Right.
And so, so that's like a very quick method. And normally I spend probably a few more minutes on this, but I think this is a great thing that anybody can do, if you have 5 minutes, then sit down and do this. Think of your theme and any sort of cliches, sayings, or quotes related to it, and try to find interesting twists that get you thinking. Because if you're, there are certainly a lot of songs that are just called Hallelujah or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's when you see a song title, there's so much music out there now, and when you see a song title that's different or interesting in some way, then I think it might give you sort of, hey, I want to hear what a song with that title sounds like.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that it's an awesome process that you've taken me through here, and I can definitely see how this is going to help me not just come up with a title for what I'm working on right now, but in the future as well. And because even as like I can see it being helpful to have somebody else there to kind of rip things off of, because when you said Thorny Crown, I automatically went to Losing My Religion by REM, and then was thinking about like this sort of, even though that's kind of maybe a little bit of a darker song, it always feels very like warm to me in some kind of way. And so then I was thinking about that, and my mind was going all these different places of things that I hadn't thought about at all when I was writing the poem.
Right. Yeah. And that's kind of what I always like to do, and all of my, well, not all, but a lot of my sort of approaches to this is trying to surprise yourself in some way. So, this is just one example. I have a lot of exercises similar to this where I kind of go through all of these, and a lot of these are inspired by what I've done in the theater, where you're always doing these improvisational things, and you're not just, you don't decide, okay, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm writing, this is what I'm performing, whatever, but you're exploring and you're always searching. And so I really like, gathering different things, writing a lot of different things down, and and most of them you just throw away, but just dumping everything you have on the page, and then just seeing what you come up with, and that's the fun part. That's the playing around, just throwing. It's like playing with mismatched Legos. You're just putting together a lot of different things, and it turns into this rainbow colored tank or something. And that's not what you didn't know what you were going to build when you started. It just happened. Right. And that's a great way to write songs. And that's sort of, in a nutshell, what I try to do, just guide people through that sort of process that can seem a little bit chaotic sometimes, but it's actually a pretty methodical thing where you're just mining. I call it creative mining, because it's, instead of just sitting around, you're actually going down in the mine with your pickaxe, and you're doing it. You're finding things.
I love it. Unearthing
things.
It reminds me of playing Minecraft with my kids, speaking of mining. And we go on there and we explore this whole new world, right? And nobody knows what they're going to make. But when you go on there with other people, everybody can kind of look at this mountain and look at the things in front of us and go, well, I think this would be fit right here, and this would look really cool. And, it all comes together in the end.
Exactly.
That's it. That's it. I can relate to the Legos and the Minecraft more than the exercising, but that's not why we're here today.
Well, I mean, we have some ideas for your for the name of your song, and that's a great place to start.
It is. It is a great place. And I'm super excited because I don't, like I said, when we were off screen before, I'm not expecting to make like a song out of the poem that I wrote to have that be, I might pull a lyric here or there or something, but I want it to be based on the concept that I wrote. Yeah. So I really was going off of not much at all, just the poem. And so I think this will be a great process for me to finally create this into a song that everybody can cry over. I'm excited.
Yes. We love those. Sad songs are the most uplifting thing I know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Breakthroughs are about more than you might think. They're about discovering who you are, digging deep, reaching to the core of your soul. They're about healing yourself, understanding your beliefs, creating a ripple effect. And it's not just those initial moments that matter. It's about using them to bring more joy into our own lives and the lives of others. It's about having fun, letting loose, enjoying every moment life has to offer. It's about finding a safe space. It's about creating connection. Join us each and every day for exclusive programming, special events, and a community to call home, where we invite you to explore, change the way you look at and live your life, and go beyond the breakthrough. So we ask you, are you ready? We'll see you online at thebreakthroughshow.com.
Well, I'm excited because I want to tell everybody where to find you. But before
Yes.
we do that, I have 10 quick fire questions for you.
Awesome.
And we're going to have some fun with this. Are you ready?
Yes.
Let's see how many we can get done. Number 1, what is your morning beverage of choice?
Coffee.
Coffee. When are you most productive?
Morning.
Which season is your favorite?
Summer.
What is something, it says someone from Iceland, really? What is something that you're learning right now?
What is something that I'm learning right now?
Yes.
To be more, to reach out to people, to
that's
not
a
be
good
afraid
one.
to reach out to people.
Gotcha. All right. What were your best and worst subjects in school?
Worst, math. Best, English.
Okay. What scares you?
Confined spaces.
Oh, me too. Have you ever been in love?
Oh yeah,
Very good.
I am very much in love.
Oh, that's so nice. What inspires you?
Wow, what inspires me? Other artists.
Love it. What do you do? How do you enjoy your downtime?
Reading and reading, watching movies.
Very good. All right. And lastly, what culture do you deeply respect and or want to learn more about other than your own?
Oh, all of them. But I think if I had to name one, it would be Japan.
Love it. I love it. Well, you made it through. You made it through all 10 questions like a pro, really fast. I'm asking every single guest this season these same 10 questions, and we're going to see how similar we are, how different we are.
That's
And
great.
lucky for you that wanting to learn about all the cultures, we have 40 different countries represented on this season of the Breakthrough Show.
And I will be watching.
Yes, it's going to be fantastic. I know
Yes.
it. And I'm learning a lot because my worst subject was geography in school.
Well, I'm terrible at geography as well, but I try my best. But
Yes, that's me too. I'm trying so hard. So listen, I want to make sure that everybody knows where to find you. Obviously, we mentioned songwriting.net. Everybody can check out. I'm going to share
yes.
what that looks like. Tell everybody what they can expect there and what they can find and all that good stuff.
Well, I have a podcast on there about songwriting and everything creative. And right there, you can see the 4-week songwriting challenge. And anybody who wants to, who maybe has written a song before, doesn't matter if it's just been one. But just if you've gotten your feet wet, then you should check that out and try out the songwriting challenge. It gives you a different songwriting prompt for every day and challenges you to write 28 songs in 28 days.
Wow.
And and the podcast, by the way, there is, if you are like a beginner and you want to get to know, I have a podcast episode called 10 Steps to Write Your First Song. And if you just type in songwriting.net/episode 4, that's where you'll find that. And so yeah, there you go. It's right there in front of us.
Very good. Yes, we've got the podcast episodes here. We've got a little bit about Eyvindur. Like, who is this guy? We've been talking to him for the last 45 minutes here, people. And you got a songwriting system. You offer coaching and lots of good stuff there. So make sure you guys check that out at strongwriting.net.
Yes, and if people want to check out my music, then you can go to my music website, which is at onebadday.is.
Very good.
One Bad Day, as you mentioned in the beginning, that's my record label, and so it's onebadday.is. That's where you'll find my songs.
Very good. Very good. I should write an album about joy and love and all of these warm, gushy things and put it on the One Bad Day label.
Yes, that's what you should do.
Talk about irony.
No, but it's just one. It's that was
it's
the
only
point.
One.
Nobody gets this, which is why this used to be like my sort of band / project / artist name. And the point was that, instead of having many bad days, just have the one, get it out of the way.
That's right.
It was just too complicated to explain, so I dropped the name from everything except my website, basically.
Yeah.
Because it's easier. I find that my name, you can also go to myname.is, but I just find that it's easier for people to get One Bad Day. They'll remember that. My name is kind of hard to spell for people from pretty much everywhere except Iceland.
We won't talk about the first time that Eyvindur came onto the show and how long it took me to try to figure that out. It's been so enjoyable.
There are more, like I keep telling this anecdote, but it's true. You should never feel bad about not being able to pronounce Icelandic words or names, because there are more people in the world that speak Klingon than Icelandic. So
that's a real thing. That's a real thing.
So
Well, it's been so awesome having you back on the show today. I hope you guys will go check out strongwriting.net, and I hope you will come back again, my friend, and we will update you
anytime.
By the end of the season. I'm going to update you on the music that I have been writing since going through this whole process.
Yes, absolutely.
And it'll be great. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, you too.
All right, you guys, it has been another fantastic episode today. I want to remind you of a couple things. You can join our text community in the US, Canada, and Puerto Rico by texting the word breakthrough to 256-685-7092. That's breakthrough to 256-685-7092. If you are not in the US, Canada, and Puerto Rico, or you're like, listen, lady, I don't want you texting me, you can join our Discord community from anywhere in the world by going to bit.ly/Discord breakthrough. bit.ly/Discord breakthrough. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas, and this has been another episode of The Breakthrough Show. And I want to remind you to make every day a great day for a breakthrough. We'll see you next time.